Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about what kind of knives maybe you should be concentrating on or thinking about collecting. And that's based on kind of where collecting is nowadays. And there's a couple different ways that you can look at this. One of the collecting philosophies is one based on financial interest. And so you're looking at collecting a knife and within 5 years, maybe within 2 years, turning that knife over and making a profit on it. And that's not really the philosophy I'm addressing here. So what we're really talking about is your average collector, a guy like me who just likes these knives. You know, that's why I collect knives. I've got a lot of them that are really good knives, and I've never even really tried to figure out a price for them because I don't care. You know, I'm just collecting a knife because it's, you know, an unusual, beautiful piece of art and a piece of history. And that's why I collect them. I'm not interested in selling them. I'm not interested in making money. And so that's really the philosophy I'm going to be talking about. If you're that guy, if you love these knives, you're just collecting them because it's a fun and interesting hobby, then this is the perspective that the video is going to take. And privet, bonjour, guten tag, hola, and ciao to my foreign friends. And I really appreciate you guys visiting the channel. If you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. I've got, I don't know, a lot of videos out there. When you find a video you like, if you hit playlist, I've put these videos on a playlist so that it's easy for you to find things that you're interested in. And if you like it, go ahead and like it. So the first thing I would tell you is I would get a hold of any knife from the 1800s. And so you know that because you look at the tang stamp, if you run it through a reference, if that tang stamp, you can positively place that knife in the 1800s, I think you ought to go ahead and pick it up. This is not a knife design that I'm particularly drawn to. It's a tool, a pruner. Really the only reason I picked this knife up is it is a collectible knife brand from the 1850s, that kind of time frame, 1840s to 1860. And so those knives are becoming scarcer and scarcer to find. If you think about it, guys, 1850, that's 170 years ago. And this knife predates that. And so it's just attrition through that time period takes its toll on knives. And then today we're in the situation where I think over the past 5 years, this type of collecting, traditional hobbyist knife collectors, I think it's doubled in just 5 years. There's tremendous volume of activity, people trying to get a hold of these knives, talking, forums, all of that kind of thing. And so everybody's trying to get knives like that. And that reduces the amount available for you to get. I don't think it's a limitless supply. When I first started collecting, after a little while, I kind of realized, you know what, there's a lot of these knives out there. There's no hurry in getting them. But when it comes to the 1800s, I think that's not true. Obviously, it's a long time ago. And anytime you can get a knife that you can positively date to the 1800s, I think you ought to take advantage of that and pick it up. once you move into the 20th century, knives like this is a Waterville, just scarcer brand names. Holley, this is a Holley manufacturing company knife. This is American Shear and Company, Excelsior knife. This knife here is a Cornwall Knife Company knife, and very obscure knife brand, and so collectible. And there's tons of knives from the 20th century still. I don't know that there's a lot of really good examples of them left, but every now and then you find an okay knife. And so I would be looking at companies like that. These are companies that went out of business early in the 20th century. Some of them went out of business in the into the 1800s, and they're just getting hard to find. And I would concentrate on those first. So I have a Cattaraugus case. I collect Robinsons. I like to collect Robinsons, and there's a lot more of those than these kind of knives. So when you come across, those knives that are harder to find, I would go ahead and buy those. I think within 10 years, they're going to become rare. And I think the knives from the 1800s are in that category already. It's getting really hard to find decent knives from the 1800s. And when you go up from that category right there, another thing I would look at is just the type of knife. The knives that have really good mother of pearl that date to the early 20th century. Say 1900 to 1920, or maybe earlier if you're lucky. The fire in these knives is just fantastic. They're beautiful and they're different. So today they culture the shells that produce this mother of pearl. And the deep water mother of pearl, in the old days, they used to dive for these. And I really think that produced a prettier mother of pearl. And so this is Dwight Devine and Sons. And it's got a little nick there, but otherwise it's in good shape. And it's getting really hard to find, intact mother of pearl like this. Knives like these, there's a lot of, it's a fruit knife. Yeah, that doesn't float a lot of guys' boats, but it's finely sculpted. You've got pen work in here done in sterling silver. The back is worked on this, and some other just really good craftsmanship. And when you find knives like these, I think you ought to pick them up because they're really hard to find. I think this is the only one I have that's sculpted to this degree, and they're hard to find. And so when you find them, I think you ought to take advantage of that. Other thing is genuine turtle shell. So you have to be careful here, but just read up a little bit. And genuine turtle shell is not that hard to pick out from celluloid. And this knife dates to the 1890s. And, that's another thing. Genuine turtle shell is just really scarce to find. Ivory, this particular knife dates to the 1860s, but ivory, all the way up into the 20th century is hard to find. And so if you find a good example of genuine ivory, I would go ahead and get it. And here's another one. This one's from the 1800s too, but if I have just a few examples that from the 20th century, and that ivory is really hard to find, and I would snap up those examples if you find them, and that's the reason why. So mother of pearl, tortoiseshell, ivory, all those are restricted now by international treaties. So they're really hard to get a hold of anymore. Another thing would just be the pattern of knife. So these sportsman's knives, they're really getting scarce, especially good examples. And this looks like a good example, but there's a little repair work here and a little bit on this side right here. But that's okay, because otherwise it's just a beautiful piece of stag on this knife. And all the blades are perfect on this knife, and the function of it is great. This is just a really good example. And I'm really getting to the point now where it may even make sense to get a knife that has a broken blade. So I don't have too many of those in my collection. But you know, if this knife had one broken blade, it's still a really good example of a knife from the 1800s, and a sportsman's knife. And they're getting so scarce that I was looking at one the other day that had a couple broken blades, and I almost bought it. And you know, it's probably time to even think about that. But patterns like this, you know, that's the kind of thing you want to be looking at, because they're just getting hard to find. Knives like this is a very large. My hand's 4.5 inches wide, and this is a very large Congress knife from Robertson. And so large knives like these, let me see if I got some more examples of them. Thought I brought some out. Oh man. Jeez. Oh, I can't find them. Okay, found them. So knives like these, this is a large over 4-inch lock back here. And these kind of went away in the 1920s. Really hard to find decent ones like this. And they made these type of lock back knives from the 1840s all the way up to the 1920s. But they're hard to find. Large toothpicks, you know, just this full-size toothpick, 5 inches, is really hard to find these knives. And so when you come across them, you know, they're worth picking up. Boat knives, this is a rope knife, and this is from 1944, but you find rope knives earlier. I would go ahead and pick those up, as well as pruners. Another knife kind or category is, you'll notice there's 3 back springs on this knife. So that's really rare. Knives that had 3 or more back springs in the 20th century. It's rare in the 1800s. And I haven't bothered to date this knife. I just picked it up because it had 3 back springs. And this is a Wade and Butcher knife. So that's the reason why I picked it up, just because of the 3 back springs. You just don't see them. As you move up, that time period between 1950 and 1970, there's foreign knives like this knife here, the George Westinghouse. Really nice knife, very well made. Carl Schleiper, very nicely made knife. This is a fantastic knife. And these knives are made just as well as the knives in pre-1940. Very high quality. This is a Wade and Butcher, not an old one. Company had been taken over, and my cat just has no respect. Barnabas, get out of the video. So this is just a fantastic knife. Unbelievable quality on this thing. Really nice. So those are good opportunities for you to pick up. Earlier knives, the Robert Class knives, Hen and Rooster knives, those type of knives are really nice. The later ones, the quality really suffers in them. And this knife here, in the 90s, this is from the 90s, A.G. Russell knives. Kind of hard to find his old knives back in below 1990 and below. But if you find them, they're very high quality knives for you to pick up. Another type of knife is these club knives. So these tend to come out late 70s through the 90s, through from late 70 up to 2000, let's say. And so most states had knife clubs, and there were a couple national ones. This is a national one, National Knife Collector Association. This particular one is a Robert Class knife. These knives are really nice knives. They were made specifically for collectors who couldn't find high quality knives. And so these knives tend to be high quality and oftentimes unusual. This is an unusual gun stock design to this knife. And here's one. This one is a Parker. It's an American Blade collector's knife. American Blade Collectors Association. And it's beautiful with abalone and mother of pearl. Very, very nicely made knife. And the other thing is, let me see if I can. So this is a really big knife here. This is over 4 inches, and you can see the comparison with this knife right here. And so that's another thing about these collector knife collector association knives. It is they're larger than usual. So this is over 4 inches. It's a unusual to be that big and be a sow belly, and then it also has 4 blades, and that's another thing. So they were making not only high quality knives, but knives that were unusual and that would not normally be found. And so these are really exciting knives to get a hold of. Here's another one. This is a knife collector, knife collectors of America knife. This one is made by Westinghouse. Genuine green bone, really nice knife, a 3-bladed canoe. Usually most of them are 1 or 2 blades. And so that's what knife collectors offer. And also in the 80s, you have these just collector knives. And so these knives are just made specifically for collectors. This is a Fighting Rooster. These knives were made in Germany. They're very high quality knives, really beautiful, often with cool stamp blades like this. Cool stamp blades, and a lot of just different features. Like this is celluloid, but they also had a lot of different handle materials that they use. This one's a Bulldog brand, and again, this is a Congress knife, large 4-blade Congress knife, and look at your matchstick nail nick there, etched and cool etching. And so they're just unusual, and really nicely made knives. And they're a good opportunity for you to pick up a knife that's high quality and not $500. So these things usually go for around $100. Some of them are a little bit more. There are some of those knives that are rarer than other ones, and the prices will go up on those. But your average ones, are around $100. You can find them. I don't think I've spent over $100 for my collector knives. And so that takes you up to 2000. And I wanted to mention, let me go back a little to the 80s, 70s, and 80s. This is another opportunity, I think. So this is a case knife, and this is a beautiful knife. It's a medium Stockman, really nice looking, in excellent shape. And this knife is well made. Barnabas, my cat is pulling the light cable here. Oh my goodness. And so this is a great opportunity. You know, I picked this knife up for $40, and it's the there's no gaps in the back spring on this knife. And so in the 60s, cases quality started going down. Some of that is kind of nominal stuff. Like people were getting upset because the swedges were getting smaller. Just some different things. The use of Delrin, and some issues with these back springs too. But I have a bunch of these knives from the 70s and 80s, and they're really good shape. I just did a video on this one right here. This is a 1989 case, genuine bone, and this is beautiful. And again, you know, there's no gap in the back spring whatsoever. Just a beautiful knife, and I got it for a really good price. And so I think these cases in the 70s and 80s are really really good to take advantage of those, because they're half the price of what a normal case was. These knives are on the custom sides. So it's a Yellow Horse knife. See his signature right there. And David Yellowhorse started working with Case. He was a silversmith, and he started doing custom knives. And he started out with Case, and then he started doing other knife manufacturers. And these are basically custom knives. And so the scales are custom done by him. The bolsters, the knives were taken apart. Sometimes custom blades were made, sometimes not. But these are really, really high quality knives. Everything on this knife is just perfect. It's like a custom knife. And you can find these for pretty good prices. Sometimes these David Yellowhorse knives will go $400 to $600. And so I got this one for way, way less. It was a little over $100 I got this for. So those are good opportunities for you to get really high quality knives. And when you get into the 2000s, you know, you get these GEC knives, and these are just fantastic knives. But what has happened is guys are buying all these up in one shot from a retailer, and then doubling and tripling the price. And I don't think these knives are worth $300 to $500. It's just a well-made knife. They're not made out of gold. They're not even very special. You know, they're pretty much just normal traditional folders, and that's what GEC tries to do. And when they sell these knives, they're within the $100 range usually. Some of the nicer ones are going now for 140 retail, 150, but they're still nowhere close to the prices that guys are selling these online for. And if you can find them retail and get them retail for a retail price, I think they're fantastic knives to have. I just really question, you know, if you want to first kind of cool, have this, you just want one of these knives and you want to pay $300 or $400 for it, I think it's fine. If you're buying that for an investment, I think it's going to be a long time before these knives are ever worth the money that people are paying for them. And, you know, at the next economic downturn, the prices are going to plummet because people aren't going to be able to afford to buy these knives at that price. And these guys who are scalping these knives, they're okay, guys. I'm gonna wrap the video up here. It's getting kind of long, and we could talk about modern folders another day on what kind of things maybe you should be collecting there. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative to you. Pointed out some of the, I think, collecting opportunities that are going away and that you might need to concentrate on right now. And again, if you like the video, go ahead and like it. And I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. It'll help out a lot. I'd love to have you to the channel. And remember, you'll know the truth. The truth will set you free. And thanks so much for watching and supporting me. Bye.